Hello, here is a quick video going over the basics of creating a challenge. So today I'm going to create a check-in challenge. So first you want to get to your challenges by going to engagement and then challenges and click on a new challenge. At this stage, just give your challenge a name. So I'm just going to give it a basic check-in challenge. Don't worry about the type for now. You can leave that as a unique task and we'll want to set it to draft. Once you click save, you'll have the basics of your challenge in place and we can start customizing it. So under basic setup is where you can put in a short description and full description, as well as set the start date and end date if this is a limited time challenge. This is also once you're all done, you can set it to being active, and you can also feature the challenge if you want this to bubble to the top of the mobile app. Next, under the tasks and rewards is where the functionality starts to kick in. So the first place you'll want to start tackling is the tasks area. Click on the plus to get started, and then you'll want to link a record. What the record does is this is where the check-in is going to live. So if you want them to check in at a listing, we want to select listings, and then the type, we're just going to do check-in tasks for this example. Once I click on the link record as listings, we'll have a drop down of all of our listings here. So I'm just going to select Mount Doom trekking. And then the status of this task, you can set to active or you can keep it hidden for now, but I'm going to set it to active. And then finally, we have our completion points. So if you're going to do a points program, how many points are we going to award them for completing this particular task? And since this is a check-in task, we will want to enforce the geolocation. What that'll do is that'll look at the geofencing set up for Mount Doom trekking and make sure that the people, when they check in, are within the bounds of that. So to make sure that we have that set up, go into our content, go into listings, and then click on Mount Doom trekking. Over in location and map, you will see that we don't have a geofence set up around the point. To set that up, click on the boundary area up here, and then just draw a square or rectangle or any kind of shape that you want. Make sure that you give a little bit of extra area, as GPS has a margin of error. So you'll want to give a little bit of extra area to your end users so that they'll be able to check in at the location appropriately. Hit save. Remember that a geofence is required for check-in challenges. Check-ins will not work without a fence. Next, let's go back over to our challenges. There we go. And then we can continue to add more tasks if we want to. We can add a listing, make it a check-in task, and then we can add more of our listings if we choose to. Now for other targets, if we target a listing, what this will do is if somebody goes to the listing, this creates a check-in button on that listing. We can do the same with events, with itineraries, with stops that are on itineraries. If we don't have anything really, we can use the platform. What that does is that just creates it generally, like they can go into the challenge and still do the check-in task, but it's not tied to anything in particular. Platform is just like add to nothing, basically. Next, we have our rewards. Rewards aren't mandatory because we do have points that we're awarding for each of these tasks, but a reward is something a little bit bigger, and we can tie multiple tasks together to try and get them to, say, complete the challenge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a reward here, completed challenge. There's a few different types. You can just award points. You can provide a URL link, so maybe to a website or to give additional information, such as if they complete a task, you can actually reward them by linking to, say, a YouTube video or giving them additional information. So let's just make this a badge. And then we can have points for the challenge. Now keep in mind this will compound with task points. So once they have completed all of the tasks, they will get a bonus amount of points. So we're going to say that they'll get 300 points. And then we can set what tasks this applies to. So we're going to allow all the tasks, and we're going to require all the tasks to be completed at least once, and then they get this reward. But you can change it to allow for 1 task, 2 tasks, anything like that. And then we can add an image. This is the image of the badge itself. So they're going to get a little reward in their mobile app. This is what is going to show as that reward. So we want to put something kind of cool in here. There's something that kind of represents that badge. And then we can give a description of the reward. Congrats on completing check-in challenge. And we can hit save. Now we can add multiple rewards if we want to, with different criteria. So if we had many tasks and check-in tasks, we could give them a badge at different milestones, such as their second check-in, their first check-in, their fifth check-in, the 10th one, or if they do all of them. Now going back to the task rules that we did at the start, we notice that we had that unique task. This is what allows us to put the criteria around the tasks. Are they able to repeat the tasks? So this is really good if you wanted to just set up a generic, check in at a listing and they can check in every day. You can set it to repeat the task every 1 day. So they can go to all of these locations. They can just check in every single day. And then we can apply that logic to our rewards to say, oh, if you check in 5 times anywhere, then you will get this reward. Now going along the top of the setup, we have our media. This is where you can set up give the challenge itself a media image as well as a media carousel. Participants are going to show anybody who has done any task that is on the list. They officially become a participant of the challenge, and we can cater a lot of communications towards them. See our video and documentation on communications for more on that. And then once we get some active participants, we're going to see some activity in our reports as well as the activity log. So basic recap, what we've created here is we set up a check-in challenge. We created 2 check-in tasks that are targeting our listings. And then once they've completed all of the tasks, they get a badge. They get 100 points per task, and then they'll get a bonus 300 points once they have checked in at all the places.